Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is brought to you in part by our Patreon page at patreon.com/Gear Network. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Gear Network, GERE Network. While you don't have to do this, if you would like to support us, that is a very easy way to do it. For as little as $2 a month, you can get this podcast as well as all others completely commercial free, as well as exclusive content like Patreon-only podcasts, videocasts, and blogs that are not regularly available on GearNetwork.com or any RSS feed. Your support helps us continue to keep up with upgrades to software, purchase professional equipment, and assist us with production costs. Again, patreon.com/Gear Network. Do it right now for as little as $2 a month.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Hey, this is Skip Winger, and you're listening to the All Bets Are Off podcast with Robbie Vegas.
What's up, rock soldiers? This is the rockstar Robbie Vegas coming at you with another episode of the All Bets Are Off podcast. Today, I'm super excited. My guest is the one and only Tyler Hilton. Been a huge fan of his for a long time. If you've ever come out to see me perform, you know that I do a lot of covers of his songs. So I'm going to be digging into where he got started, being on One Tree Hill, playing Elvis Presley in the Walk the Line movie with Joaquin Phoenix, and so much more. So make sure you stick around, listen to what he's got to say, and we're going to dig into a whole lot of things that you might not know. Definitely one of the most underrated songwriters out there. I feel like he should be a household name, so we're going to dig into just as much as we possibly can in the time that we have. So before I get into that, I do need you to check out unchainedmuscle.uk. Our Vegas 20 will save you 20% at checkout. This is going to be tank tops, leggings, t-shirts, hats, gym bags, shaker bottles, whatever you might need to get you started in the gym. They're a great company, and if you purchase from the mental health charity section, they will donate to mental health charity. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Hilton. All right, Tyler, the first thing I want to do is just thank you for being here today. I truly, truly appreciate it. I've been a huge fan for a long time.
Oh, no way. Dude, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back since One Tree Hill and before.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Yeah.
We've been on a journey together, a long journey.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just kind of start back at the beginning for you. How old were you when you actually started to play guitar?
Oh, God, probably like 10. My wife jokes that, like, everything in my childhood happened at 10. She's like, when did you learn right back? I was like, I don't know, like 10 maybe. I think it was like around 10. My family all played growing up, and they were all musicians of some sort or another, and like played with, big bands, like Fleetwood Mac and George Harrison, Donovan, people like that. And so every time we get together, there was always so much guitar playing, and I just looked at it. I just looked at them in awe. All I wanted was to play guitar. Took me a second, though, to learn how to do it. But for some reason, just once I wrapped my head around it, I just was like hooked. So I was lucky, but I just was always around it.
Okay, so your biggest inspiration then was your family.
Yeah. Oh, man. We go on these camping trips once or twice a year, and it would be not only my family, but like their kind of extended musical families as well. And man, there was just some crazy jamming and singing and harmonies, and it was like my cousins and I were like, oh my God, like we're just always like so in awe of like the adults like playing and jamming so well. So it was just like all I wanted to do was like be a part of that, It was so cool.
So who would you say were your biggest inspirations as far as musically besides your family outside of that?
Elvis is the biggest one. I think he just, when I was young, I think I went to Graceland when I was like probably 10. No, I don't know. I went to Graceland at some point when I was young, and I think I was actually a lot younger than that. And my parents gave me a cassette tape of his, you know, to try to like prep me for the day's like adventure we were going on. And just something about his music like really got me, you know, in that way. Before you care what your friends are listening to, or you're listening to music because you identify with a lifestyle or something, like all the things that like music ends up being later. This was just like totally pure, you know. Oh, dude, actually, it's crazy. This is a little off topic, but talk about this kind of beautiful thing in action. My friend's kid, we have these friends in Montreal, and their kid is like, I don't know, 10? No, I don't know. I think the kid's like 3. But, or something really young, you know, like barely know what's going on, but walking around, whatever age that is, walking around and liking, seeing certain, and this kid at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whenever he's sitting there eating, he just wants his mom to put on Louis Armstrong playing the trumpet. It's the craziest thing. He's obsessed with Louis Armstrong. Oh, neither one of his parents listened to Louis Armstrong or jazz. This kid's so into jazz and so into Louis Armstrong, they bought him a little toy trumpet, and he sleeps with it. And he like takes it around everywhere with him. He's so obsessed with it, and it's like, and the reason that this is kind of fresh on my mind is my wife sent his mom this video of me singing to my daughter. She's 3 months old, and I was just singing her some song like, I don't know, the Hokey Pokey or something on the guitar and singing it to her. So now he watches that video all the time, and he loves it. And they were telling me they knew I'd be excited because I'm kind of working on this kid's record. I really want to do like a children's record, but I'm kind of like, how do I go about this? And like, you know, how do I make these songs my own versions and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I was stoked because it feels like he's the first kid that like just naturally like liked hearing me sing the song and watches this video over and over. And I almost felt like so honored because he's got such cool taste in music.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the whole thing with him, and like he's just so purely into this thing, not because like, oh, there's like a cool culture attached to jazz or anything. He's like into Louis Armstrong, and that reminds me of how I was to Elvis. I just like he just imprinted on me, and I was like, that guy is me. I just like felt like he was me, and through him, I got into all the music for the rest of my life. I don't even listen to Elvis that much anymore, but you know, through him, I got into blues music, which probably was like the biggest influence of my entire life was blues music. I was like, that was like it for me. Mm-hmm. It's like the music I bleed, and that's how my feelings sound is like that. Is that like old 30s and 40s and 50s blues, like Muddy Waters era blues, even Robert Johnson. That's my vibe. But I had to back myself into it from Elvis, and then Elvis also introduced me to like, you know, the really slick Nashville sound of like the 70s, and you know, he didn't write any songs, so I you know, heard the best songs in the world, the best songwriters in the world through Elvis, you know, so he just kind of blew me away. So that he was my biggest inspiration. He, and then for whatever reason, Frank Sinatra. Like when I was a kid, like Frank Sinatra was my vibe, and Elvis, Frank Sinatra, that was it pretty much through, I don't even, like middle school. I don't think it was even until middle school that I finally got into like the Stray Cats or something different that was still kind of 50s rock and roll, like steeped. But it was just Frank Sinatra and Elvis before that. That's the long answer.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's really cool. Those are two great guys to look up to when you're a kid also. So did they also inspire you to, you know, start writing your own music at that point? Or, you know, were you writing songs since you were 10 also?
That's wild, dude, that you said that, because it's true that, neither one of them, like my original heroes, were songwriters at all. They were singers. Right. But when I was young, I was singing all the time. So I was like, that was my way into music. So I was singing since the time I was like 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 years old, I think. Everyone keeps telling me like that I was just singing right from the get-go. And I remember loving it. I just like loved to learn songs. I loved to sing to anyone. I was like really shy, but it was like my vibe was just to be like singing in my room. So like, I really wanted to play guitar, piano, because I thought that would really, you know, support singing. And my family always had me, you know, the band together, they always had me sit in with them and sing, but they would find out a song that I learned or I liked, and they would learn it so we could all like sing together. But yeah, I didn't, but they're the ones that inspired me to write, because they all wrote. Like, so some of my favorite songs it was Frank Sinatra, Elvis, and then honestly my Uncle Tommy and my kind of close uncle Michael, they had this band. They were kind of the leaders, and they wrote these beautiful, amazing songs that I just were some of my favorite songs I ever heard. And when I first started singing for real, like professionally, like 15 or 14 in like coffee houses and stuff, mm-hmm. I was like covering their songs a lot. So they were just like, they were it to me. And I just thought it was so cool how easily they wrote songs. They could write songs every year. They were like, oh, here's a new song I just wrote. And I was like, a new song you just wrote? What? And then by the time I was like, I think I had my heart broken for the first time in like 7th grade. Like a song spilled out of me to the tune of Stray Cat Strut. I just heard these lyrics. So, and I don't know why, that just came natural. I never really was a big, like, journaler or anything. That's not, like, where I went with my feelings. That was when my feelings mode flipped on, was getting my heart broken. I was like, I need to write lyrics to the tune of Stray Cat Strut. And that was, like, my knee jerk for something. And then I just never stopped. I loved it.
So how old were you when you actually played your first gig? You said about 14?
Yep. It was like, I think I was 14. My dad took me to an open mic, and it was like I said, it was like, even though I was really kind of like a loud, extroverted theater kid kind of thing, I'm like, and like real, obviously like really talkative or whatever. Like I get like really shy about singing or certain things in certain situations. I have no idea why. I just like get totally shut down with like shyness. And I was always like that with singing. Very like shy and protective about singing. Always like if my parents were filming me, I'd be really bummed, or I could always be singing to myself. And I don't know, it just kind of like, I don't know what it was about it, to be honest. But anyway, I remember he took me to this open mic, and he really had to push me. He's like, he was like, you're really good. My dad was so supportive and so into my music. I think back, I'm like, God, as shy as I was, I never would have pursued it if my dad hadn't been like, you're good, you got to get over yourself, get up there and sing. And I remember he took me to this open mic, and this is an open mic, dude. Like, looking back, I'm like, come on, there's a few people, they all suck, in a tiny coffee house in Palm Desert, California, like, relaxed, But I was in the crowd, and I was like 14, the crowd. I was at a table at the coffee house, and I signed up on the list, and I remember being so nervous that I had to keep like going to the bathroom because I thought I was going to throw up. And then we just went to that same open mic every week together for a long time. I don't know how long, maybe like a year or less. And then at some point, that guy who owned the coffee house asked me if I wanted to do my own show there. And it was just like, I still to this day, like, that is the moment I made it. Like, that is the moment that I went from like amateur songwriter to like somebody's giving me a chance to be on the stage, and they're giving me the chance. It's not like anybody gets to get up here and sing, And I played, I just made tips or whatever. But anyway, I was so nervous that whole year I was playing. But every week we'd go to the open mic. I'd learn 2 new songs to play at the open mic. So I was getting my chops up. I was getting all my nerves out, and I was so nervous every single time. So that was good. It was really good to like get that going or whatever. And then at 15, I was discovered by these like radio DJs, and it just took off for me like quickly for a second. So I was on this radio show, and I was thinking, thank God I had that year or so of getting all my nerves out, because I would have been, a wreck or whatever. Like, dude, I totally see like child actors or like whatever turn to like drugs and stuff, like right off the bat. Like, shit, there's so many nerves and everything. I mean, truthfully, thank God that I was like as comfortable with myself as I was at 15. And even then I was nervous. Thank God I had that year at that coffee house, really getting my shit together. Right. And it wasn't just there. I mean, I was playing restaurants. I was playing all these bars. Once I had like my own show there, I started, doing them more, and then started playing different places all around Palm Desert. But yeah, it was wild. I really needed it.
Okay, very cool. So then fast forward to 2004, you release your first full-length album on Maverick Records, The Tracks of Tyler Hilton, and that got a lot of praise. So, like, kind of walk us through what you were feeling and how that all came about at the time, because you mentioned you were discovered by, radio DJs and that.
Yeah, it was weird. I'll understand more about that time the older I get, I think, because so much of it happened so quick, and so much of it was a struggle, working with a major label was tough. I don't know if it was that they were tough or I was at a tough age, but man, it's I was on Warner Brothers, and it was a big conglomerate like company, and they were impressive, and they were intimidating, and they could make all your dreams come true, and they had so much money, and they had so much connection, and they could do anything for you that you wanted if they liked what you did, just like, whoa, like, it was just so crazy. So you have to like balance that with staying true to yourself. And even though I put out a record and kind of, I had some fans, I had a little bit of notoriety on this radio station, I kind of had like, I've got my thing, and I kind of felt like I had something to offer. And to have a label be like, no, we don't like that song, or we don't like that production. We wanted to be popular. We needed to be popular. It was weirding me out. I had so many conversations with my roommates. I remember I was 18 years old and just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like everyone wants me to be something, and I don't know. And I don't want to be that, but at the same time, like, I don't know what I want to be. Like, I literally graduated high school last year. It was just a wild time. So crazy, making the record. It got shelved after I made it, and didn't even come out till after I got the part and Walk the Line, and then the label decided to release the record. It was just like, it was so many ups and downs, but the content of the record was really special, the songs, because I wrote, I think, every song on the record. And when I was getting on that radio station, I was like a freshman in high school. They were trying to, get me signed, these radio DJs and, all this stuff. So all through high school, I was like meeting with record labels and blah, blah, blah. And every time I met with one, of course, I was like so excited. And every time it didn't happen, I was crushed. So it was just like 4 years of so many ups and downs. And I signed a demo deal, and they sent me to Toronto to work with this producer, and that was killer. And I went to, but then that didn't work out, and all these things. By the time I graduated high school, I was so burnt on the music business already that I was like, okay, well, here's the deal. I hate the music business. All I want to do is be a homeless blues man anyway. Like, all my heroes were just homeless boxcar jumpers. That's it. Like, I don't need money. I don't need fame. I don't want any of this BS. Like, I'm so tired of, like, playing in conference rooms or offices for people. Like, that is not my vibe. Like, I want to be like Woody Guthrie or Bob Dylan or Robert Johnson, So I just, like, I think I was going to go to Berklee College of Music, and the summer after high school, I went to Europe and just lived homeless for a while.
Oh,
and
wow.
Just had no plans, just flew there and just like, I'm just going to live homeless in Europe and sleep on trains and sleep in parks and play my guitar and stuff. And I'm done with the music business. I'm done with everything. And literally while I was over there, I was like, nobody contact me. I don't want to know anything. And then I got curious a few weeks into it, maybe a month or 6 weeks into it. It was a while. And I checked my email at like an internet cafe, and I had this email from my dad that was like, Capitol Records wants to sign you. And anyway, that guy at Capitol Records got fired. And then he moved to Warner Brothers, and he signed me there. So anyway, that's how, when I came back from Europe, sure, I'd like sworn the whole thing off. I had this like record deal waiting for me. I didn't even ask for it. And then, I put college on hold, and I just started rolling with the punches, and then, all this stuff, kind of happened. So just wow. But anyway, but the whole point of that was I wrote that whole record when I was in Europe. When It Comes, Kiss On, Rolling Home is about that Europe trip. A letter song, all that stuff I wrote kind of in Europe. So cool.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Awesome. And then you mentioned during all this, you do end up getting the role in Walk the Line, which was the Johnny Cash film with Joaquin Phoenix, and you actually got to play Elvis. And that had to be huge for you, because growing up, that was the reason why, you were so inspired to be a musician. So how did that even come about?
Oh man, it's wild. I had this agent that was booking me for, musical stuff, William Morris, and they also are a big acting agency, and so all their musicians, they just kind of blanket also give them acting agents also. So if you want to, like, I don't know, like if Kenny Rogers or Adele, they want Adele to be like in some TV show for a second. Like, I don't know. So anyway, I just ended up with an acting agent. So Walk the Line, they were looking for musicians to play Johnny Cash's background musicians for the movie, and so we just got an open call. My agent called me and was like, hey, they're asking for local musicians to come in and sing a Johnny Cash song for this movie, if you'd want to do it. And I was like, oh, it sounds so cool. She sent me the script. It was one of the first movie scripts I read. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever read, like the Johnny Cash story, and they want me to be a musician in it. Like, oh. So I went to the audition, and I was like, sure, I was going to get it. There was like a crush of musicians there. All the guys from LA, they were all around my age, and like they were all so cool. And I was like, oh, this is never going to happen. I played this Johnny Cash song, and then after I was done, they were like, do you know any Elvis songs by any chance? And I was like, yes, I know all the Elvis songs. So I played them a couple, and they were like, all right, cool, thanks. And my agent afterwards was like, how did it go? And I was like, they didn't, I don't know if they liked my Johnny Cash song, because afterwards they were like, do you know any Elvis songs instead? So I played them some Elvis songs, and that was it. And she was like, okay, well, whatever. So then they called me back, and they were like, yo, can you read some lines as Elvis? And, I was like, what? So I went back, I read the scenes or whatever. I can't remember. I probably blanked out. I was so nervous. And then they asked me to play some more Elvis songs, and I did. And then somehow I got the part. Like, my agent called me and was like, they want you to play Elvis in this movie. And I freaked out. I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm not an actor. I've been in, like, high school plays. Like, I can't play Elvis Presley in this movie. So I told her, no, they should get an actor. And plus I was like, I'm trying to put out a record on my record label. They're going to think, mind you, this is early 2000s when celebrity was pariah. You know what I mean? Like, this is when, like, the Paris Hilton reality shows were coming out, and everyone was trying, like, if you were trying to be famous, you were not credible as a musician. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a whole different world where it's like, the more fame, the better. It's a whole different culture, you know?
Yeah.
At the time, it was really like a death sentence, I felt, as a new musician, trying to come out there and be like, hey, my first record, before you know anything about me, I'm an actor. And I never wanted to be that, which is the irony of literally my whole career. So I was like, I just don't want that to be the thing, you know? And so I was like, so no, you know, and I'm not a good actor. And no. So they said, oh, you know, are you sure? And I was like, yep. So they said no to the part, dude. Okay. So then, like, no joke, like a week later or something, I'm in a hotel lobby bar, and I don't know why, I'm 19, but I was in this hotel lobby bar with my friend, and I see Joaquin Phoenix at the bar, and I was like, I'm gonna go say hi to him. You know, I'm just, you know, I think it's just that cockiness of, like, being buzzed off one drink at 19 and just like, you know what, yeah, I'm just going to go, like, say hi to Joaquin Phoenix. He's not that famous, you know what I mean, at the time, but, you know, he's still Joaquin Phoenix, you know?
Yeah.
But, and so I, like, go up to him and I was like, hey, man, you know, my name's Tyler Hilton or whatever, and I just want to say, I tried out for Walk the Line, and, dude, it's going to be such a cool movie, and just want to say, like, congrats, and, like, that's dope, you know, like, just so funny that I was just auditioning for this, and here you are. And he looked at me, and mind you, I'd never been in anything, and my record hadn't come out. He was like, you're Tyler Hilton. And I was like, shit my pants. And then he was like, dude, I saw your audition tape as Elvis, and it was so cool, you got to do this thing. And I was like, oh, you know, I can't, it's like a total misunderstanding. Like, I'm not an actor at all, dude. Like, I came in to try out for the Johnny Cash background band, and I'm a musician. I'm like, signed on Warner Brothers, and, like, I don't know if I'm, like, up for, like, doing a movie, you know? And I was like, plus Elvis is my hero. Like, I don't want to, like, mess this up. And I'm like, how does this guy, can't believe this guy knows who I am. He's like, dude, you have to do it. And he's like, here's the vibe. Reese and I are so nervous. We, like, have never sang before. We've never played guitar. I'm taking guitar lessons. Reese and I are both in voice lessons, getting ready for these parts. Everybody is going to be out of their element, and every musician they're casting in the movie are all non-actors. They're all actual musicians in real life, which is true. It was Shooter Jennings. It was Waylon Payne. It was Jonathan Rice. You know, all these great musicians that weren't actors. They were the ones that they casted, like Jerry Lee and Laura Orbison and all that. So he was like, I promise you, like, this is going to be like a safe space where everyone is going to be so uncomfortable. And everything I knew of Joaquin after that, he was just a crazy guy. Like, you know, wasn't totally lucid all the time, was just insane, honestly. We hung out a lot, and he was literally crazy. Such a cool guy, but crazy, you know? And so it's weird looking back. I never saw that side of him ever again, where he was that lucid, that maybe because he's really like a method actor, because the only time I knew him like that, and I guess when we were promoting the movie too, he was pretty like pro, you know. During the movie, he was Johnny Cash, you know, and like going through all his like drug problems and stuff, and it really felt like that. Mm-hmm. But beforehand, he was just like clear-headed and like, you should be in this movie. I've seen your tape, you know. And so I called my agent afterwards, like, is that part still available? I just ran a walk, and they were like, okay, we'll see. And it was. And so just talk about meant to be, dude. It was just the wildest thing ever. So I literally almost didn't do the coolest project of my whole career. I don't care if I have like a gold record. I don't care if I have a #1 single on the radio. The coolest thing that I'll ever do, I think, was Walk the Line. That was such a dream for a fan like me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. That is a great story. But it's funny to me that you're telling everybody that you're not an actor, and then you end up on One Tree Hill as Chris Keller for 4 seasons or whatever it was. So how did you end up doing that?
It's all this like accidental stuff. They told me that I was going to go on the show One Tree Hill and like play this. The show had broken Gavin DeGraw, and so they were looking for like a new musician to break, and the creators really liked the song of mine, Glad, and they were like, they want to kind of write this part that'll be like a couple episodes, and it'll just be a reason to bring a musician on. And I think it was and the part was written for someone older. I think they were looking at Butch Walker and Matt Nathanson, okay, and me, and the part was supposed to be like, you know, all these kids are in high school, and this guy is supposed to be like in his late 20s, you know. And at the time I was like 19 or something. So I know I got the part. I was supposed to just go on for like 2 episodes and all this stuff, and I had the time of my life. Again, was so nervous. I've never seen so many beautiful people in my entire life as that cast. I mean, literally, Like, you can't imagine what it's like to walk into a room of, like, teenage TV stars. It's like, if you've ever been to one of these conventions, I mean, not to be weird, but I've been in the business now a long time, and I think maybe I've weird myself to seeing how good-looking people are in person, but Jesus H. You go on, like I said, like OC or One Tree Hill, in the heyday, I was like, holy shit. Everyone is so cool. They were like, I mean, there's all these, like, super famous, good-looking, rich, young, early 20-somethings, and they were like, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Everyone was, I would have expected everyone to be just total nightmares, and instead, I was like, why? Like, I literally had very little in common with these people. They were already famous. This whole thing. Dude, they were so cool to me. I couldn't even believe it. They literally became my best friends. Still to this day, like family. And after those 2 episodes, I think I played the character like as a lot more of a dickhead than he was supposed to be. And the audience hated it. And it got like really good reaction from the audience. Like, they really, I think, needed a villain on that show. And people just hated me. And so they were like, will you keep coming back? And by that time, you know, I made such good friends and blah, blah, blah. I was just like, oh, absolutely, I'll come back as much as you guys want. This is so much fun. So, you know, that was just another random thing, you know, just kept going and going and going. And I just had so much fun with it.
Okay. Yeah, Chad Michael Murray is actually from my hometown. So that was like a big
no way.
Yeah, that was a big thing around here. So, but it seemed like Chris Keller, the role that you played, is so very different than from what you actually are in life. So how did you, like, make that adjustment?
I don't know. I wonder if it's like a side of me or something. Like, there, you know, you know, like, I don't know, they say, like, if society breaks down, like, maybe we'll all see the animal side of us or something. Like, I think I am sensitive, and I don't want to ever, like, hurt anyone's feelings, and I don't want my feelings to get hurt, and I want everyone to feel, like, cool and, you know, whatever. But when you're playing a character and you've got lines that are kind of cocky, all of a sudden I'm not worried about hurting the other person. And I just, like, feel like I let this side of me out, where I was just, like, totally unabashedly, like, just mean, I guess. And it was the same thing in the movie Charlie Bartlett. And I've actually played a lot of, like, you know, like, dickheads, I guess. But I have this theory, too, that, like, that, you know, the people that play the bad guy are always really cool in person. And I appreciate you saying that. That, you know, I'm not like Chris Keller, I guess. But the people that play really charming, nice people are oftentimes the worst in real life. So more and more I see in life a duality where, like, if somebody's really wrong, they're also really the other way, either at different times or whatever. They have both in them. And I definitely see that in acting. And I don't know why I'm like that, but I had so much fun as Chris Keller. It was, like, so freeing. I loved it.
Right. Almost like you were releasing things within you that were maybe building up.
Yeah, and with people that were also I trusted, too. Like, I would say the worst things on the show to Sophia Bush and Bethany Joy Lenz and Hillary Burton. And we were all so cool. We're such family that I feel like I could look at them and say that. But, sometimes I'd be like, oh, my God. I remember a couple of times, so literally after they would call cut, Sophia would be like, I literally can't live with you right now. I'm going to punch you. Like, they would say that to me off camera all the time. Like, they just were like, I was like, thank God I know them and they know me. And they're not like, I hate this guy.
Right.
Let's see here. Slept with you. Kissed you. Got slapped by you. Just like any other night on Chris Keller's tour bus.
So they can tow the car to Honeygrove, but
Honeygrove, we're rolling right through there. You guys should just crash with me. Come on, it'll be like old times. You know, without Nate trying to kill me for singing duets with Haley.
hey, I'm down for all that. Yo, you got some gin in this joint?
Full bar and back.
I'm loving Chris Keller.
Look, I got plenty of room. I'm going your way. Haley can sleep in my bed. Well, you're looking a little plump, Hales. What the hell? I've had bigger chunk in my bunk.
I'm pregnant, you idiot.
Oh. Dude, totally not mine.
So now you mentioned too that there's also now like One Tree Hill conventions and things like that you appear at and things. Did you know that the show was going to be such a stamp that it would still be just as popular today, to where there'd be conventions where fans would just get to come and meet you guys, and you'd have like reunions and things like that?
No, not at all. I didn't know it was going to be on the show past 2 episodes. I didn't know every year we did the show, including season 2 when I came on. They were like, well, this is the last season, which would make sense. I mean, most shows go like 2 episodes, not even 2 seasons, you know?
Right.
If you make it 2 seasons, you're like, wow, guys, what a run for he's a jolly good, everyone's like celebrating. And every year, the show went 9 seasons. Every year they were like, well, at the wrap party, everyone would give a big hug like, that was good, guys. Word is from the network, we're not coming back, but man, what a run. So the fact that the show went so long was crazy. Then it had this other life on Netflix, and then it had this other life on Hulu, and then it had this huge convention life. These are all people that I might have known for one summer of my life in 2005, and instead I see them multiple times a year, every year, for, 15 years? Wait, what year is it? Oh, shit, 15 years? And now we're doing all these Christmas movies together on Hallmark and stuff. They keep putting One Tree Hill cast members together for Christmas movies. So I'm like, it's like the best. It feels like we have this college reunion 3 times a year and we get paid for it. It's really crazy.
That's awesome. Very cool. So now during all of this, you release a few more EPs, Better on Beechwood and Ladies and Gentlemen, which are both fantastic. But then in 2012, you released another full-length, Forget the Storm. And this record is hands down, I can listen to it from start to finish, always. And
man, thank you.
I got to tell you, too, I'm also a singer-songwriter, and I cover, almost everything you do. So every song I ever hear from you, I pretty much try and cover it. So every time I play a gig, I'm playing Tyler Hilton for half my set.
Dude, my mouth is hanging open right now. I can't even believe that. That's so cool.
Oh, yeah. I just finished recording my new record, and I have a song on there called Beat Up Old Camry, and I actually talk about the way that she loves in one of the lyrics to that song. So,
no!
Yeah.
Wow! What's the lyric?
I actually say the way that she loves was on my lips because I was singing it to my girlfriend, and the song is about her and her old car.
I just got full body chills. I literally just got full body chills. That is so crazy, dude.
Yeah, so when I tell you I'm a fan from the beginning, I mean it.
Whoa. Wow. That is really, really cool. I can't even tell you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I hope I don't ruin it on this interview. I hope I don't say too much, and then you're like, but wow, that's really cool.
Well, I'm loving this interview right now. I was very nervous before you called, I gotta say. But
oh man, wow, you're killing it.
Thank you. So I kind of wanted to know, because I love this record so much, what really inspired such a powerfully written record? And did you intentionally not release another full length for so long in between the two?
Good ears, because I think that was the start of when I started getting, to me, I've got 2 records that I nailed, or that I really liked, that really speak for me. One was Forget the Storm, and then City on Fire. Those 2 are both times, that's what I meant to say. And if you like those, I promise I'll keep doing more records like that. If you don't like those, I may not be, your guy. But the first record, there's so many producers and so many opinions that, probably the songs on that record were definitely mine and spoke about me at the time. But, the production and blah, 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 it's not the blah. Forget the Storm is the first time that it all kind of coalesced. And the song writing on it was really good because I wrote, I think, every song with 2 friends of mine that are so talented, David Hodges and this guy, Steve Miller. Not the Steve Miller, unfortunately for him. But they've both gone on to be big singer-songwriters in their own right, or songwriter-producers. They, bunch of Grammys and stuff, and they're amazing. But we got together, and I think we wrote. The label was putting me to. Well, the reason that so much time went by is because, so long ago, I forgot even about this whole story. But so what? The Tracks of Tyler Hilton comes out in 2005, and then between 2005 and maybe Forget the Storm came out in 2011 or something. I made 3 full-length records for Warner Brothers that all got shelved. Every single one. And I worked with John Alasia on one, Dan Huff in Nashville on one, Nathan Chapman in Nashville on one. They were some of the biggest producers ever, Wayne Kirkpatrick. I worked with a bunch. They're just literally just the most insane, amazing producers ever. And I was pouring my heart into these songs. I was in the upswing of my career. I was feeling tons of things all the time. So I was just writing nonstop. And there's some of I thought they were really good records, really cool written records. The production kind of fell flat sometimes, but it was cool. But the label kept getting presidents, and then those presidents would get fired, and then the next president would come in and listen to all the new records before they come out. But I'd be bottom of the list because, you know, Josh Groban and Green Day would be ahead of me, that kind of thing. So just like, there's just so much like annoying, boring, like disheartening shit. And you're just like, oh, bummer. And, you know, it wasn't like writing smash hits left and right. My stuff's like a little more nuanced. So that's how always gets lost at the label. So anyway, at some point, by the time they had like their third president, when I was on there waiting for my records to get released, I got new management, and I was like, can you just please ask them if I could leave the label? Which was going to be the scariest thing I'd ever done, because the label was my ticket to everything, you know? The big PR opportunities, the big tours, the big everything, you know, like saying I was a Warner Brothers recording artist wasn't not cool to say, you know, it opened a lot of doors, but at that point I'd held on as long as I could, and I was like, I got to go, because I know if I don't release something, I'm going to explode, and something like really bad is going to happen to something really special inside of me. Like, it's going to die, you know? And I really made the choice that I was like, do I want to wait around here for the next 10 years, hoping that I maybe write one song that they want to release? Sure, they put out the Better on Beachwood EPs, and they put out the Ladies and Gentlemen EPs, and I love those. Those were some of my favorite songs that I was doing at the time. But they're not really putting out records. They're not promoting anything. You know, they're not getting any PR for it. No one's really buying them. You know, so, like, I was just like, I got to get music out there. And even those two EPs, that's 6 years. I think there was 6 songs that came out. You know, it just like wasn't going to work for me. I thought I'd rather put out an album a year and have nobody hear it than put out nothing, write all these songs and just, you know, whenever. I don't know. It was just the worst. So I left the label, and I was like angry, and I just felt like I'd been in this whole like celebrity pop machine for so long that was so exciting and so cool. And all of a sudden, I was just like the wave had spit me back out on the shore. And I just had looked back on everybody that I'd worked with and was so bitter, and just like, you know, just would hear promises played over in my head. Just the whole thing was so confusing for me at the end of the day. And so I don't know. I was kind of like over it. I was going to like quit the industry and just, I don't even know. I was doing some acting. I wasn't really doing a bunch. I'd like been offered a bunch of big movie stuff, and I said no for my music career. You know, I put everything into it, and now it was kind of essentially over. So it was just a weird situation. And then I started this residency in LA, and which means like I was playing a weekly show there, and I was drinking a lot, and I was like I eventually got sober. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I stopped drinking, but I was, you know, it was probably like right at the beginning of it just really ramping up. You know, all the drinking before that was like fun partying, like, oh, you know, mingling at like at industry events every night. You know, there's so-and-so, and you're all hanging out. It's like, cool. You kind of didn't seem like a big deal. All of a sudden when there's no events to go to and I had no tours planned and I'm just like boozing hard and bum, I like needed some shows to play. So I started doing these residencies, and I was just covering songs. I was going back to blues songs. I was playing Rolling Stone songs. I was just like kind of re-feeling my way through like what my new sound was going to be. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know it. And then my buddies that I was playing those shows with, David Hodges and Steve Miller, we started writing songs together, and it was like, this is cool. And I thought like none of this stuff is going to be popular, and none of my fans are going to want to hear stuff that's just rock and whatever. I was just like, but you know, it's not going to end up on the radio, but I was like, I just need to put something out there to clean my pipes out. I need to put something out there that's like, feels good, that I could point to and be like, that's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to say. And we made this record so quick, and every song on it was like, you know, one of the first ones we wrote was Can't Stop Now, and I was like, okay, oh shit, this is really cool, and this is exactly where I'm at. And then, you know, Kicking My Heels and Loaded Gun, it was just like all these songs were just like, you know, I had pitched songs like that to my label so long, dude, they didn't want to hear any of that stuff. Every song on that record would have been something that the label would have been like, are you seriously saying this to me right now after everything else we said no to? You're going to send me these songs? I would have been embarrassed to send any of those songs to the label. That's how, you know, knocked down I was. Yeah. So this was just for me being like, you know what? If you like it, put it out. And I did. I liked all those songs, and I put it out. You know, I was like, you know, really inspiring for me to like have that moment. Indian Summer was the record after, and I kind of tried to do more of an acoustic thing. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, some people say it's like their favorite record. To me, it's like I didn't really like nail it the way I wanted to, but I love the songs on it, just like production-wise and feeling. But then it wasn't until City on Fire that I was like, this is to me like what I was trying to do on Forget the Storm, and I'll keep making probably like versions of City on Fire like forever, whatever.
Okay, and City on Fire just came out last year, and there's a really interesting cover on it. I love it. It's Stay, which was normally originally a Rihanna song. So how did that come about for you? What made you choose that song to cover?
I did management at one point that had me doing these stupid shows at high schools with radio stations. Like on one tour I did, it was the worst. And I was like showing up at cafeterias at lunchtime, and these kids were like, what? But I wanted to be a team player, and I was like, yo, if you're going to put support behind my music, I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. So anyway, I was doing these like stupid lunchtime concerts, and my friend, actually Steve Miller, he was playing guitar with me, the guy who did the Forget the Storm record. He was like, we should have like a cover we're doing. And so I was just like, I don't know, let's just pick like some popular songs and let's start like trying to play them. And so we would go through a couple. And I don't know, it was just kind of like the whole thing was so stupid. I was like, this is dumb. Like, cover songs to me are so dumb. Playing cover songs of pop songs is stupid. Like, the whole thing was just like, I was just such a grump about it. But then I started learning the chords to Stay. And for some reason, that song, like, I just always loved it. And the way I started playing it, like, broke my heart. It was the weirdest thing. It was totally accidental. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. So I started playing it at the high schools because I thought it would make the kids, like, listen, and it didn't. They didn't really care. So, but I had the song, and I loved singing it. And so I always thought, like, at some point I wanted to record this and do it. And there was something about City on Fire that I just thought, like, it wasn't that I needed a cover for the record or I wanted to get some kind of attention going for it. I just thought, I want to do Stay for this. I think that would be so cool. So it just felt right, and that's the only barometer I'm using for putting songs on the records now. Okay. The records don't make that much money. Everything else makes dough, the tours, blah, blah, blah. But records themselves don't make a ton of money unless you're, like, on the radio. So, like, for me, a record now is something that, like, shows everyone where I'm at artistically, where I'm at emotionally. It's like a lookbook, a vibe, like a vibe wall. You know what I'm saying? This is, like, where I'm at, you know? And then from there, I do a bunch of things, promo-wise from there. And money comes in different ways now in the music business, but music now is like, that's what puts it on the record. After those years, after so many years of being like, having to do permission-based art, where I would like ask them, write a song and they'd be like, is this good? And they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'd write another song and I'd be like, is this one good? And they'd be like, no. After so many years of that, now it's like, I'm writing the songs, and I'm putting the songs on the album that I get body chills for,
Right.
That's a rare feeling, and I like that.
Okay, awesome. And, you seem to be, like, just super busy, and you've been acting and making music, and somehow you still found time to appear in other people's music videos. You did Taylor Swift and Gloriana. So how did you end up doing that?
I was doing this interview with a country magazine, and they had done this. I wanted to check out their last issue to see who they talked about or whatever, and I saw they did this profile on this girl named Taylor Swift, and she was 15, and she had just put out the song called Teardrop, it was Tim McGraw. And so I looked it up. I was kind of interested in her. I thought it was, like, interesting. I was, I think, 22 or 23 at the time, and she reminded me of me from what they were saying in the article and kind of started at the same age. So I checked out the Tim McGraw song, and I was blown away. I don't know what it was, but that's, like, still to me, like, one of the coolest written songs ever. And you have to be a certain kind of amateur sometimes to write really cool stuff. Sometimes in music, the better you get, the more pro you are, the kind of lamer your music starts to sound. There's something of rock and roll about barely knowing what you're doing, And for only a 15-year-old girl who was not a professional would write a lyric like, when you think Tim McGraw, I hope you think of me. Like, I just would never have said that, because it's like, wait, a title a song after another art. The whole thing is weird,
Yeah.
So I just was obsessed with it, and I said in the interview, like, that article you did on this new girl, Taylor Swift, thank you so much because you turned me on to her music, and I'm really a fan now. She's great. More trying to, like, brown nose the publication. Well, lo and behold, this girl is, like, a fan of mine, and she read the interview, and her management calls mine is like, Taylor's a big fan. She covers Missing You, and she, like, she's going to be playing in California, like, in a month. Like, she'd love to invite you out to the show. She's playing at this little country bar in San Bernardino for the radio station if you want to come. I was like, no way. Like, how random did this girl saw that? So I was like, totally. I'll totally meet her. Like, how random. So I went, and then she said, hey, I'm going to play Missing You at the show. Anyway, you want to get up and sing it with me? And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I can do that. So then I got up on stage with her, and she's a clever little girl. And when I got on stage, she waited till I was on stage, and she goes, so I want to kind of put you on the spot, but I'm making a music video. My next music video is for a song called Teardrops on My Guitar. Will you be in it? I'm like, in front of the crowd or whatever, like, Yeah, totally. You know, I'm thinking like, I don't know if this is going to work or if my label will let me do it or whatever. But it totally worked out. They flew me to Nashville, had a blast, and got really close with her family. And she blew up. And she's so talented and so real. She's so genuine. I just saw her last year play for 100,000 people at Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Saw her family again. Saw Taylor backstage. Just the same girl. It's just like crazy how talented she is and how grounded. And so that was wild. Even when I moved up to Nashville for the first time, the Swifts let me stay with them and put me up on their houseboat. Their parents have a houseboat. So they're like, yeah, stay on our houseboat when you get to town. So cool. Like, totally cool vibes. And then the Gloriana kids, dude, I hope I'm not going on too long because these stories, they're wild. But
no, go ahead.
When I first started on One Tree Hill, these kids were playing in a bar band in Wilmington. And the cast was like, you got to hear these guys because they're really good and they're locals and you're a musician. So I went and heard them and they were really good. The Gossen brothers, they were great. Incredible. And anyway, so Bethany Joy Lenz and I decided we were going to do a song for the show. And so we were going to do the song When the Stars Go Blue. And once we decided to do it, the show was so into it and I needed a place to record it in North Carolina where we were filming. And I wasn't going to have time to go back to LA. So I thought, well, let me use those musicians that I heard at that bar because they were really good. So I used Mike and Tom Gossen, the two guys from Gloriana. They were my backup band on the When the Stars Go Blue song. So we always kept in touch. We were always friends. Then they ended up moving to Nashville and started a band called Gloriana, and they blew up. It was the craziest thing. It was like these dudes that with this bar band in this town and that played on When the Stars Go Blue are now on the radio. And just like, it was like, that's happened to me a few times in my life, and it's second to going through that kind of stuff yourself. Watching somebody you know go through it is the wildest thing. Like happened with Lady Antebellum, with Taylor, Michelle Branch, and Gloriana. There's just some of these people that like I knew before they were like anything kind of vibe. And dude, they had a blast out there. They ended up having a #1 song, and I would open for them. We'd still play shows together. And then at some point they were like, "Yo, we're doing this music video. Would you and Megan want to be in it?" And we were like, "Absolutely." And it became their big #1 song. So it was just totally luck for us, and we had a blast doing it. So now Mike, the guitar player of the band, since the band broke up, they're just done. They all went in different directions. The lead singer had a kid and was just like, I'm good. So Mike, his brother, the guitar player, he just loves playing. So he comes out on the road with me and plays guitar, and we sing Kiss You Goodnight on the road. But now he's been my guitar player, and he's just killing it. We love hanging.
That's awesome. Very cool. So as a songwriter, do you always find yourself just moving on to the next one, or do you still like to go back and listen to the things that you've done?
I don't like listening to the things I've done. I like playing those songs, but to me, there's too much of a minefield of things I'd change. And like, if I'm on a certain tip musically or sonically now, not to be all like, whoa, I'm into certain sounds, but I don't know if I'm just like into different vibes. It's hard for me to listen to that before because it just sounds dumb. Like no matter what, it's just like looking at a photograph of myself from over 10 years ago. No matter what, I'm going to look dumb. There's nothing I'm going to be wearing or doing that currently I'm going to be like, oh yeah, nailed it. It's just was part of a different era, and so for me, it's like not really that helpful. Though I got to say, in Tiger King, I don't know if you've seen that, but I love that Joey Exotic drives around listening to his music. I was like, good for that guy. I love that.
Okay, cool. So I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I do have a few more things for you. I guess the next thing I want to know is what's next for you.
So a few things. I'm working on a new record. I got a new version of the song When I See You, I See Home. That's from City on Fire. It's coming out. It's supposed to be a wedding version, but all the weddings got canceled this spring, so I might release it in the summer, but we did a music video for it, and I'm using my wedding footage, and we put some of my footage of my new daughter in it, and put strings on it. So that's coming out soon. I'm working on new songs for a new record remotely, so I'm recording a lot of stuff in my RV in Canada and sending them to my producer in LA. And it's been going like really well. Before we quarantined, I was helping write and produce Billy Ray Cyrus's new record, a bunch of songs for him. He's like a good friend of mine, and we're just very like similar. I don't know, something about he and I, like personality-wise, we get along really well, and I've actually been using some of the songs that we wrote for my record, but we're having a blast. So that's on hold, I guess, while we quarantine. And then So I always have like a bunch of projects I want to do, and I've had to shift them around now that we're quarantining. So now that I can't be around anyone and I can't tour, all my tour dates are closed, I'm working on a kids record. Always wanted to do this, and I'm just starting to record some songs. And I'm going to try them out on a little, which is the first place I'm talking about this, but I'm going to start doing a little Sunday kids sing-along on Instagram Live. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to start, just do a little half hour every Sunday and just do a little kids sing-along. And then Friday night, I'm going to start doing live streams of just, for half hour of just concerts, just my songs. So between those two things, I'll be able to keep performing for the fans and get to try some kids songs. And a lot of my fans have kids now, and they're all just chilling at home. So I thought, what a great way to try out some new material for the kids record and get us do some sing along with the kids.
That's excellent. Very cool. And yes, I was bummed that the tour dates got canceled because I think this was going to be the first time I actually got to see you live. So I was, so I was pretty bummed about that. But hopefully, when this is all over.
We're actually close. I'm in London and you're in Buffalo.
Yes. Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's like you're like 2 hours away.
Yeah, I actually just saw a concert in London not too long before this all started. So I drive up there all the time. I'm also a professional wrestler, so I wrestle in Canada, and I'm in that area.
Way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm hoping to be able to catch you out there sometime.
Oh, that'd be cool. Wait, so wrestling just shut down? Yeah, I guess. You can't keep away from each other in wrestling. That's crazy. So the whole thing shut down too.
We were actually, one of the last shows I was on was we were technically supposed to be quarantined that day, and we were like, let's just do this last show and go home. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Hopefully when this is all over and the tour starts up again, I'll be able to catch you out there and finally see a show.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to. I just played in Buffalo last year, and the drummer I've been using, he's from Buffalo. Dude, people from Buffalo, man, they love Buffalo.
Yeah.
I've never met someone from another city that loves their city as much as people from Buffalo love Buffalo. It's wild.
I know. I didn't even know you played here last year. That would have been something I would have jumped all over for sure.
I was opening for this girl named Haley Reinhart, and it was a great show, but I just played like 30 minutes opening for her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome.
Beautiful there.
Well, that being said, can we have you plug your social media and everything so people can keep up with you and know, when the tour is starting again and when the new albums are coming out?
Yeah, I'm Tyler Hilton on everything, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that. So I'm going to mostly be on Instagram for the next while. So, yeah, connect with me there, tylerhilton.com, that stuff.
On that note, I do want to thank you for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. This was awesome for me, and I do look forward to seeing you when you come to Buffalo next.
Yeah, me too, dude. Can't wait to meet you in person, and thanks for having me on, and good luck with wrestling and the music.
Thank you very much.
You got it, dude. So nice to meet you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, see ya.
She'll call you up when she's lonely. She'll just drive without a clue where she's going. She'll try to tell a joke, get the punchline wrong, get all the words to her own favorite song. When she walks in the room, she'll set it alight, and she'll always be on your side. That's just the way that she loves. That's just the way that she moves you. She'll take you higher than high. Boy, you can try. Just know you won't ever get enough. That's just the way that she loves.
All right, that was Tyler Hilton, Chris Keller, One Tree Hill, Elvis Presley, Walk the Line, whatever you may know him from, Taylor Swift music videos, his amazing music. Again, probably one of the most underrated, talented songwriters out there. Should be a household name for you guys. I said that at the beginning. I'm going to say it again. I hope for anybody who doesn't know who he is, you are going to check him out after listening to his stories and just hearing a little bit about him. I know I played you a couple clips of some of his music here, but definitely check it out. City on Fire is the newest. Forget the Storm is my one of my all-time favorite records. So make sure you check those out. The tracks of Tyler Hilton and countless EPs, Christmas tracks, they're all on iTunes, Spotify. So make sure you check them out. And thank you for joining us on the All Bets Are Off podcast. What a thrill that was for me. And thank you guys for being here to listen to it. So we'll catch you next time.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.
Welcome, everyone. This is Sleazy.
This is the Fat Man.
And the world-famous R-rated podcast is now on the Gear Network. The Wrestling Show with Sleazy and the Fat Man is classless and raunchy commentary on the wrestling business today. Our multiple hosts, including Sleazy the Fat Man, Chip Willett, and NEW owner Travis Kenning, give a differing take on news, rumors, reviews, and previews of the entirety of the worldwide pro wrestling market.
We do what we want, we say what we want, and we don't give a at all. That's just the way we go.
Check us out on the Gear Network.